I turned $100 into over $10,000 of trading profits, but not in the way most may think. I use a strategy that many beginners just completely overlook. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I ended up taking $100 into $10,000 and how you can do the exact same thing utilizing the system that I use. Now, this isn't a guarantee. This is just what I did and what I teach my members in the groups, and has allowed them to get the results as well. Most people just try to flip their $100, and that just leads to gambling, over trading, no real system. So if your plan is to flip $100 in the markets, you're basically gambling, and I did something slightly different, and that's why I'm going to break this down here to you. I'm going to show you how you can use $100 to get way more capital. So how you're going to do this is by leveraging prop firms. Prop firms or proprietary firms are companies that will allow you to trade simulated funds, being that you can pass their challenge accounts. Now, in terms of prop firms that I use, I'll give you a list of my top 5 prop firms. So far, my top 5 prop firms are in no particular order: Apex Trader Funding, Take Profit Trader, Lucid Trading, Alpha Futures, and I think that's it. Really just 4. So those are my 4 top firms that I recommend currently. Now, how do I actually leverage these prop firms? I'm not looking to risk a crazy amount on these prop firms. With $100, you can actually get a $50K to $100K account and then utilize that account to actually build more profits. So how do I actually do this in terms of when I'm scaling? So if I take a challenge account, let's say we're taking a $50K account, oftentimes our profit target is $3,000. If we're looking to make that $3,000 profit target, I am only going to use 1% risk of this $50K account. So if I use 1% risk, that means I'm looking to risk $500 per trade, and I'm looking to make 2 times with every trade that I take. So if I'm looking to make $1,000 per trade, how many trades do I have to take in order to pass the account? Well, I need 3 winning trades, and I utilize the same principles once I actually get to the funded account as well. And that is what has allowed me to take over $10,000 in payouts, just starting with a singular $100, which then grew to over $1.15 million in funding. And then you start to build an empire. So now you go from $1,000 a trade to now $10,000 a trade. But how do you manage these prop firms? What are some of the pros and what are some of the cons with actually trading with prop firms? So being as somebody who's traded with prop firms for the past 4 years, really when prop firms really getting big back in 2020 from 2023, and I actually got my very first payout in January of 2023. So 3 years ago is when I got my first payout, and since then I've been able to withdraw thousands of dollars in the market, something that most traders don't ever get to touch. And the reason why is because I followed one simple repeatable system. What am I doing? Like I said, I'm only looking to risk 0.5% to 1% per trade, and then with each trade that I'm taking, I'm only looking to make 3 positive trades in order to hit my profit target. I made countless videos on this channel breaking down my exact system and how I actually trade my funded accounts, and live videos of me trading funded accounts, right? But essentially, you want to prioritize consistency over big wins. We're not trying to hit home runs on these accounts. We're actually just trying to stack small, consistent wins. Now, I didn't start off by passing these accounts. I actually blew a ton of accounts before getting my first payout. I think I blew like 5 or 6 accounts before I ended up passing my first account. From that first account, though, I was able to withdraw over $10,000 just from that account alone, right? So my initial investment was only about $1,000 with all the accounts that I lost, but I was able to withdraw $10,000 just from one singular account. And so what was the shift that actually allowed me to make that $10,000 in profit and to actually repeatedly keep doing it? Well, the thing that it was volume. And what do I mean by volume? No, I don't mean about volume on the charts or the volume profiles on your indicators. No, I mean reps. What is a rep? A rep is a singular trade. I had to practice a ton of trades, and I recommend that every trader at least practices 100 trades with your system. That way you can find out all the ins and outs of your system. What is your win rate? What is your average risk to reward? Should you take profits? When does your strategy execute the best? Volume negates luck, right? So we want to take the luck completely out of trading. We're not gamblers. We're strategic trading assassins. That's how I like to see it in the market. Now, as a market assassin, what are some things that you have to do? That means you need to be checking pre-market. What are your areas of interest? What am I looking for in the markets? And then being able to execute every single day the same thing. And the markets are not always going to be the same. What do I mean by execute the same exact thing? The same exact steps each day you need to execute that essentially. Well, I have a full 9-step blueprint that I'll give you completely free. It is in the link down in the description, and I use each of these 9 steps to both anticipate, wait for my confirmation, and execution. That is how we ace every trade. So in our community, we talk about ace all the time: anticipation, confirmation, and execution. And through volume, I've been able to put together, like I said, this 9-step system, and I know exactly when my strategy works, when it doesn't work, when is the best time to trade, when is not the best time to trade, how can we expect if it's going to be a good time to trade, all of that, right? And how do we do it? By those 9 steps. But those 9 steps came through volume. So once you actually are able to become consistent in the markets, then you can move on to the next step. So how did I actually take this $100 to grow it into $1.15 million in funding? So the first payout that I got with this particular account was $1,929. So with that $1,929, I was then able to invest in 2 more accounts. I ended up passing those accounts, which allowed me to get now over $300K in funding. Now that I was over $300K in funding, I continued to trade my account, got another $2,500 payout, and then another $2,500 payout, and another $2,500 payout. And what I did with those payouts is I reinvested a portion of that back into accounts. We always want to go ahead and take some money and to put in our pocket. It is so important. I don't advise you to invest all of the money that you make on a payout back into the account. You want to take some, you want to put it in your pocket and let yourself know that this is real. This money that you're making from trading is a real thing, and you want to go ahead and put that, aside. But I do recommend taking a portion and putting that back into accounts. I typically do about 30% of my payouts I'll put back into account or some other form of investment. But that is how you start to stack and build up the empire. So I went from 100K account that started with $100, right, to over 10,000, really over $20,000 in payouts with over $1.1 million in funding. And it took 5 months to do it, right? So that means being consistent for 5 long months. And then that is how I ended up taking that $100 into over 15, I think it was like $20,000 that we did in the past couple months just off of that one initial $100 investment. That doesn't include any other accounts, but just that one initial investment. So what are some key things that you need to take from this video? We're not looking for big wins. I'm just looking for a small consistent win, a 1 to 2 risk to reward at 0.5 to 1% risk on these funded accounts. And then I'm just looking to take that consistent process. And in the book Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about the aggregation of marginal gains. This is a 1% gain. And he says in the book that 1% gains are not noticeable and sometimes not even notable, right? But through compounding, these 1% gains can compound into results far beyond what we imagine. So I want you to take this with you as you're trading. Go ahead and think about this. How can I take this $100 or however much you have and turn it into an empire? And it takes step-by-step executing. But the first thing that you have to do is believe that you can actually do it. And I'm telling you now that you can do it. I'm proof that you can do it. And I have so many members in my community who are proof of it as well. So if you want to join a community of traders who are trading live every single day, or you want to be mentored by me, you can click the link down below and fill out the application. Once you fill out the application, we'll go through, and if you're a right fit, we'll work with you, build your whole funded blueprint and your roadmap to scaling to $1 million in funding and start taking consistent payouts in the markets. Now, this is not a guarantee, but this is the same system that I use and teach our members in the community, and that has allowed them to get the results that they're getting. So if you want to be a part of that, you can click the link down below. And if you want to watch more videos, you can click this video right here.